And I told you a friend introduced it to me. So he got the job from Upwork. Then he gave me to do. And I did it and the client said the work was nonsense. And anyways, that's another story because it was actually it's a long story, but anyway, that was the journey for me. Then after that I started writing more and it got accepted.
Hello everyone, you're welcome to Tech Stories and Whatnot. My name is Benedict Anderson and this is Tech Stories and Whatnot, like I said. So on this very episode, I'm talking to Jeremiah Ajayi, a writer at Piggyvest. And I would like to say, you know what that means? It means if you have any issue with your Piggyvest app, but I would have liked to put him in that trouble, but let me skip that for now. So yeah, he's not in product support. He's not in customer care, so don't do that. But anyways, on Tech Stories, I talk about, I chat with founders, content marketers, digital nomads, share their stories and their strategies. Hopefully, some other content creator out there get inspired to go on with their creative work. And yes, like I'd always say on this channel, our mantra is to be, do, and commit. So let's just get right into it. So we're talking about how to boost your career as a content marketer. And we have a pro in the house. So Jerry, thank you for joining me.
Indeed. Thanks for having me, Legends. It's nice to be here and great work you're doing on the show.
Thank you. So outside, before Piggyvest, what was the journey like? Yeah, how did you start your journey as a content marketer?
Okay. First, thanks for making me introspect and look back. The question kind of feels nostalgic, but yeah, it started back in 2018 as I started as a freelance writer just to make ends meet. I was in school and I had a friend who was making money from freelance writing, and before then I'd always written content, but in forms of stories and basically fiction. Right, and in my head, the only way you could make money as a writer was to be a novelist, a screenwriter. And I took much interest in being a screenwriter. I mean, I done courses. I written some, series and I was hoping to be a big screenwriter.
Game of Thrones. Okay.
in Hollywood, I mean, Aaron Sorkin and Shonda Rhimes were people I really look up to. But then I realized as I matured that this is not really feasible because XYZ. So I dropped it. I studied law at school. And while studying law, I saw my friend who was making money from this thing. And I was like, yo, are you making money writing for people? And they're paying you. And these people you've never seen before. And it's not 419, it's not like fraud. So that really got me interested, and I got my first gig. And it was a very funny scene because it was historical romance, Regency romance. I wrote it, and guess what? 15,000 words. I can't forget. I spent 2 days writing that thing. I mean, I used to be a beast back then. Jesus, 2 days I wrote 15,000 words. I'm kidding. I did not sleep. I was just because I was just very passionate. The money was trash. It was 1.0 naira per word. Right.
On what platform did you get this gig?
You said?
What platform did you get this gig, this particular gig?
My friend, it was a subcontract. My friend outsourced this to me. I told you a friend introduced it to me. So he got the job from Upwork. Then he gave me to do. And I did it and the client said the work was nonsense. And anyways, that's another story because it was actually it's a long story, but anyway, that was the journey for me. Then after that I started writing more and it got accepted. Then back in 2018 December I got a job as the SEO specialist as one up and coming digital marketing firm, and I did that exposed me to the workings of SEO. Then later on I got an internship, a legal internship, but it was legal marketing. And I had to do SEO writing majorly. Then after that, I got an opportunity to write for Bella Nigeria. From Bella Nigeria, I got an opportunity to work as chief content officer at Strictly Law Business. From Strictly Law Business, I went to week of Saturdays where I kind of drew as a writer, and I did stuff like writing the first ever freelance writing reports in Nigeria, I think Africa at large. And from there, I got an opportunity at Consulting, and Consulting was really life-changing for me because it was international opportunity, my first major international opportunity, aside the legal one, because the legal one was also an international law firm. And I got this, and it really got me a lot of connections and stuff. Then from there, really kickstarted. And I worked with VC Studios, which you also worked at, and we're colleagues there. Hi, alum. And then I got the biggest job. That's basically it.
That's it's like a brief summary of so many events. Really, of so many events. So two major points I'd like to point out is your first SEO job. Did you know anything about SEO before landing that job, or it was on the job you learned? That's the first major point. The second one is consulting. I'd like you to take us through how that happened. So many writers out there wondering, where do I start? Who is going to give me a chance? How do I get into this agency? There are so many freelance writers right now. They're trying to get into agencies or companies. So I think answering those questions side by side, your first SEO and then consulting, is it?
Right. Great question. So for the job, I learned on the job because I actually liked. I knew SEO. So if I got into school, there was a period where I was at home, before resumption. I got admission immediately, but there was a period between resumption and getting the admission. And because I've always been restless. It's not new. I'm still currently restless, and that's another name for ambition. But to be honest, it's just restlessness. So I was very restless, and I was like, I can't just stay at home. I did a printing job, and I got bored of that real quick. Not printing, typing rather. I was a typist for one of this printing, whatever. These women it was rampant back in the day where they type, you pay them money, yeah, exactly. I did that for 2 weeks and I left. I was like, Jesus Christ, I can't do this. The money was shitty. And I was like, what can I do to spend my time productively? And I got into blogging. I had this WordPress blog. And while having this WordPress blog, I knew nothing. I didn't know what I was doing. For me, I was more into personal development writing at the time because I read a lot of personal development books, self-help, and I was just writing about how to be a better version of yourself, this kind of, cliche, overused themes. And in the process, I discovered there's a term SEO, but it was more of, something I saw in passing when I wanted to learn how to get eye traffic. I kept seeing SEO, but it sounded all too complicated at the time. And I was just like, let me just concentrate on my writing. Then school resumed and I started blogging altogether. Then my friend told me about this job, SEO specialist job, which is 2 years later, or no, a year later rather, December 2018. And I was like, I know nothing about SEO. In terms of as a concept, deeply. But as a writer, freelance writer, I did SEO writing. It was just common sense to use. H2, I learned that. So when they asked me, do you know about SEO? I said, yes, I do. And I knew just 10%. And I just knew SEO right. I said, I do. I know. And being a good user of Google, I researched. I feel like people using that ignorance to stop themselves from certain opportunities when they can easily use Google. I researched, I read on it, and I read some resources, and I went to the interview with confidence, and I got the job. And on the job, I learned because I had to cheat people. I was not a trainer. Imagine a newbie teaching people.
Yeah.
That was it. Then from consulting, by the time I got the consulting job, prior to that time, that was 2021. And I just left my job at Week of Saturdays. I was focusing on building my freelance writing career. I just launched my website newly. I was trying to brand myself as a consultant, a content marketing consultant, and with major, specialization in SEO. And so, gradually, by constantly posting and personal branding, I became known for being an SEO expert. And I had done a project in 2020 called the Rejection, which involved 3 major events where I invited Jonathan Avier, the co-founder of Consulting, to come speak. because consulting specializes in resume writing and all that stuff. And so we had that trial relationship, right? Then he reached out to me after the blues in 2021 that, he will love me to come answer some questions relating to SEO. They're trying to do the SEO, as a company. And I'm like, okay, sure, no problem. We jumped on a call. And after the call, I did something that stood out for him and led me to get the job. I ideated, right, strategies, both on page technical, setting the pace for SEO sources and what to do after, doing all I had, recommended for them. And it was in a kind of, I think, about 6-page document. And I was very, very surprised because I didn't need to do that. I had given my expertise on the call and I just sent me the document. It was very, very surprising. I was like, yo, we want to offer you a job. They didn't have an SEO and content manager role at the company ever before I joined, but they made the role just for me. They even made an announcement on LinkedIn about it. So it was a celebratory journey anyways, and I went viral at the time and I got the job. So that was how I got the job at Consulting.
Okay, so taking us through, I think, your first SEO specialist job, and then I'll say you advancing a bit in your career and then working at Consulting. I think what I've seen there is that you are really a daring person. First of all, it's do you know SEO special and anything about SEO? It's like, yeah, I do. I do. But then there's something major there where it's like, don't stop yourself from taking up a job just because you feel like you don't meet all of the criteria. Really, there is Google. And that's really an important point. Then for everything, I think I've noticed the trend now. I'm sorry, this is not me trying to hype JA. Yeah. But it's from what he said, what he did for Consulting that landed him with the job. It's a similar thing he did. Like he previously said, we were colleagues at VAC Studios. He did a similar thing in VAC where he just came up and then he was like, okay, I want to be in charge of let's help restructure the whole social media thing. People are looking for employers looking for creative people.
Oh, you remember?
I remember because it was something that excited me as well, that someone who just came on board in like how many weeks was already looking for ways to restructure things. He created a brief for VAC. I think, was it a brief? Sorry. How do we call it now? Where you write the...
an editorial style guide.
An editorial style guide. Yeah, there was just some innovative stuff that he did that actually made everyone look like, oh, this guy's something. This guy's something. So yes, when you so this is not me hyping, but really listening to the trend, I did this for Consulting and then got the job. And then we didn't even talk about how you got the VC job, but let's just get going. So really, you have to be daring as a content starter, as a starter. You have to be daring. You have to be innovative. You have to be willing to improve wherever you are at, whatever you can help, whatever brand, even if it's your personal brand. The way you put yourself, the way you work, the discipline you have is going to be perceived or can be perceived outside or by another person. So really, people really want people that want to do the work and not just get the job. So there is the lesson of, I didn't know this thing, but when I got in, I had to use Google, I had to self-learn and then teach other people. Then there is I helped Consulting do this and it landed me a job. And the same trend was noticed too at VAC. So you must really be able to be daring enough to do stuff. So going ahead now is, I was listening to Chimamanda this morning, Jerry, and then I heard her, she was talking about storytelling at an Hotspots inbounds conference. And she said that she really hoped that someone doesn't read her first work. So on your LinkedIn is boldly stated over 400 plus articles written. So I know that as writers, we hit some and we miss some. So is there a time you felt like, I feel like I should take this article down? Have there been articles you felt like taking down? Or you wish that you didn't even write them at all?
Yes, I think I look, even articles from last, I look at them with disgust. Like, I really wrote this, interesting. But I don't believe in taking them down.
Okay.
Right, except for the people I have taken down. I don't believe in taking articles. I feel like they are trails to see how far I've come.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just normal to grow as a person. And the moment, I feel like the moment you stop cringing at your past work, you stop growing. So you constantly looking back and saying, oh my God, I wrote that, in disgust, shows that you've grown as a person. And writing is something that you don't master. You keep developing as a writer. Your voice keeps maturing. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing as a writer is you're speaking, but through letters, through words, in black and white on screen. And so the way you speak matures, because as a person, you also evolve. You learn new things. So I would say that I have a lot of embarrassment. Like out of those 400 pieces of work, I can confidently tell you that more than 70% are embarrassing to me at this point in time. So yeah.
Okay. That's cool. If you stop cringing at your article, you stop growing. And then I remember this article I had published on Daily Trust news. And then when I published it, I felt good. And then few years, like think 2 years, not even few years, few years sounds like it's plenty. Either 2 years down the line, look at it like Jesus Christ. I was so embarrassed. I had to bring it down from my LinkedIn profile. I had to bring it down, but then it also showed. But when I got on LinkedIn, I was so good. I've published on Daily Trust. But anyways, it shows that we keep growing. Like you said, nobody really masters. Yeah. You keep growing. And what are they? You have an interesting journey, really. You've published a book, how to, I don't know the title exactly, but it's how to start and finish courses and helping people to start and finish courses.
Oh, yeah, the code, yeah.
And then you've also taken a lot of courses. And sometimes I'm like, how does this guy do it? You are a student, you're working. It's crazy. So, and then you've been able to write for major brands just between 2018 when you started out and didn't even, would I say, specialize in SaaS content marketing? Because right now that's a specialty. So how have you been able to boost your content marketing career? Like, what are your practices that's made you to be where you are right now, writing for major brands? And what practices really would you share?
I love the way you point out this question. You didn't say, how can content marketers boost their career? You asked me, how did you? And I love that because I feel like successful people, I won't call myself successful though, but most successful people tend to fall victim to survivorship bias where they forget that what works for you and made you successful might not work for the general public. Yeah. And so before I move on, I'd like to state that my journey is very chaotic and there are elements of luck in my journey. There's certain people that if I did not meet, certain opportunities that if I did not miss, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am today, right? So I would say that yes, the practices I'm about to mention helped, right? But then there's also the attributes of luck, being in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people, right? Yeah. For instance, getting to write for, let's talk about like landing major publications. Getting to write for Bella Ninja, before I met Mary Maswen, a good friend of mine, and I met her while I was interning at a law firm. Imagine law firm and content marketing, two different things. But I met her there and she told me about, how I can write for Bella Ninja. And in my head, Bella Ninja was such a big blog. And I'm like, I can write for Bella Ninja. Wow. And then, I met someone, she planted that idea in my head. And I met, Kelechi Ugoagu, one of my mentors, right? And she just sent me the email address of the editor. And I pitched my idea. And that was how I got it. But imagine, now, my luck is mostly because, like I said, I had this enduring trait of being proactive. Yeah. Kelechi Ugoagu, how did I meet her? I don't know Kelechi. We've never met in real life before. But I got to work for her. She got to mentor me between 2019 and 2021. She was like a major aspect of my career. And at that meeting, I was reading, a blog post of hers when she used to write for Bella Ninja at the time about the gig economy. And I was very, very interested in her career because I was like, this woman has done amazing stuff. I would love to work with her. At the time, I was still a freelance writer, very naive, early 2019. I reached out. I applied via our website. I would love to work with her. Then we spoke, and I continuously added value, constantly writing on her, submitting guest posts for our blog. That's how I started with all this guest posting thing. If I now move to people in Nigeria. So she gave me that email address because I had established enough value and I have been seen as someone that she trusted enough. And that was how I got that opportunity, that brought me an opportunity. Because fighting for better Nigeria really did a lot to my career. Like, he exposed me to a lot of things, a lot of, people, and I also got more gigs because of that. So I would say number one, being proactive helps. And it helps me meet the right people. And, another thing I would say has helped me boost my career is knowing when to leave companies. I'm a job hopper. I don't apologize for that. I won't even call myself a notorious job hopper. And I was telling my friend the other day, if I had remained in some of the companies I left, right, and I had followed this advice of, stay, you shouldn't be seen job hopping, my career won't be where I am today. Mm-hmm. I look back, and in hindsight, I've left a lot of people behind. Not because I'm better than them, but because I have foresight. I know when something is no longer serving me, and I know when to leave. So when a job is, I've learned enough at a job, I'm no longer growing there, I leave for an opportunity. Right? When the job is too toxic, I leave. So learning to leave, learning to detach myself from jobs in a way that I know that I put myself first, and I'm ready to champion my growth. I mean, I love working for your company, but I will never sacrifice my growth on the platter, on the altar for your company. Has helped me grow greatly. And that's how I've been able to, if I tell you how much percentage I've been able to multiply my income, what I was earning back in just 2019 and now, the difference is so insane. And that's because I've learned to always, it's not serving me, I leave. So I think knowing that, helps. And then also, I think constant personal development helps. I think as a person, if you look back at your life, let's say 6 months ago and still where you were, I think there's a problem. Now, I'm not saying you have to have more money, you have to be finer. But in terms of knowledge, you should have grown. And so one way you can grow, you don't have to do online courses. If you know you don't like online, but I believe you should do online courses because, if you want to get international opportunities, you need something that proves that, you have approval. This approval can be from institutions, and that's where online courses come in. For you, it could be going to an Ivy League. For us, you get to do your MBA marketing at Harvard. That will change your career. It's not like Harvard means that great Harvard means a competent marketer, but that name or your resume will get you places, right? And so you need certain names, you need certain certifications, but beyond that, you need to keep learning. YouTube videos, podcast, newsletter, ensure you're learning something. And that's how constantly grow and even earn respect. Like the other day, I got a job recently, which I will announce very soon. I got a job recently, and my new employers were literally begging me to come join them. And that's because they saw the value in me. And beyond that, they saw things like, get certifications from University of London, doing XYZ before joining them. So there's proof of work and there's proof of approval. Approval from institutions, by online courses, because online certifications, you have to write exams to acquire them, showing that you've done the learning. And there's proof of work, the work I've done in the past. I didn't just work at this in the past, I increased this traffic by 59%. Mm-hmm. I didn't just work at 113. I increased the site visitors from XYZ to XYZ. So having those two proofs, proof of work, proof of knowledge, and approval has helped me a lot. So I think content marketers should vie for that. And there are other things, but I think I'd love to stop at this 3. Let's keep it at a trifecta of 3 points. So yeah.
Okay. So there's so many touch points. And I'm like, where do I start from? There's the point of, if I tell you how much I've been able to multiply my income, I like that part. From, let's say, 2019 to now. And then the question there is, it's a random question, but I'll just drop it. How did you make your first $1,000? That's that for now. That's on one end. And then the second question is that of personal development. There are lots of people who are not able to start and finish projects. So I don't know how you have the tenacity to start projects. I know you've done a business course. You had a business certification. I don't know if it was a mini MBA, I guess. It is. Yeah. So I'm like, how does this guy do this? You're working as a content marketer, you're taking courses. How do you do it? So someone else can learn? Because I really want to have I want to have the tenacity to start so many courses, because you feel like you're doing so many. Do you take them one at a time and then finish them? What's your strategy for doing that? But please don't forget the previous question of how did you make the first $1,000? Just in brief, so that story is not too long.
I made my first $1,000 through my legal internship in 2019. Yes, I interned for this company, law firm in Texas, and I was paid $2,000 monthly stipend.
As an intern. Please, Nigerian companies, I hope. As an intern.
As an intern. My sister's an intern. Yeah, as an intern.
Nigerian companies, please hope you're hearing. But anyways, going on to the second question now. Okay, on personal development, how do you start and finish your projects? For the people that are unable to or just find it difficult finishing projects when they start. Because so many people have lots of online courses that they're just 30% into it.
I think, so I've written a book on this. I think you should read the book, like for deeper information. But I would just say, when something is pursuing you, and you know that if you don't get this thing, or let's say you have to go, that's how my approach things, right? So for everything I do, or for every course I take, I ask myself, what is the opportunity cost for not taking this course, right? If I don't take HubSpot's content marketing certification, what is the downside to that? Okay, say there's no like short-term effects that's negative, to be honest. There's no big thing. But in the long term, I need to affect my career. I know that if I don't acquire that certification now, given my current schedule, who knows what will come up in the future? And if I'll be able to even get to the future that I'm postponing to. But beyond that, I know that having that stamp of approval, HubSpot, on my resume does wonders to my career. I'm trying to break into the international field. And I know that, the foreigners, they respect certifications like that. And so, if I don't get HubSpot certification, except I take it upon myself to do an extra stuff like maybe constant vlogging, working like 3 times harder than I should. If I have because like I said, approval does a lot for your career. So I think you need to ask yourself, what's the opportunity cost? What are the downsides? Then ask yourself, do you really want to endure those downsides just because you don't have enough discipline, you don't have enough patience, enough time to quote. So knowing the consequence works, then working so hard to ensure that consequence does not happen is how I do it. And also, I believe in ensuring accountability by telling other people, telling my friends help. But I've never really needed my friends to ensure that I finish courses. But if you know that you have problems finishing what you started, I feel like telling your friends who, for instance, if you have someone like me in your circle, my darling, I will make sure you finish your course. I will always disturb you. So look for your friends that, these ones, if you tell them do not like to rest, they will keep on feeling you owe them debts. Look for them. Make them, your friends, your accountability partners rather. And also, there are a lot of things to do. You also need to figure out why you're not completing those courses. Because there's something wrong. I feel like you're not completing courses, right? Maybe you're even trying to do too much. Maybe you're trying to 10 courses at the same time. Why not start with one? Maybe you're always distracted by your phone. Why not try to combat your phone addiction? Or maybe you're overwhelmed with work. So instead of trying to take all your courses while you're working, why not take leave? Then during your leave, you complete those courses. Because the truth is, you can't force your body to do more than its capacity. You're inundated with work, stress. So why add to the burden? So there are different nuances, and you need to figure out the root cause, then figure out how to tackle it. I listed about 20 tips in my book. So I feel any of them will help. But yeah,
okay. So can we get the link to the book? How is it? How much is it?
Yeah, I will send it to you, but it's free. I made it free actually. It's free. I made it free. Yeah.
Okay, so that means that there's a link to it. I'll just drop it in the description box and then you can access that. And yeah, that's thanks to JA for that resource. I'm grateful. So I think before we run out, yeah, I would ask, what would you say to writers who are starting out, writers who are afraid to pitch? Pitching is a big problem. People are just afraid. First of all, you reject yourself before you get rejected. So what would you say to writers who are afraid to pitch, to brands, to clients, who are afraid to put out their work out there because it feels like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough, my voice is just going to drown amidst the many voices that are out there?
Amazing. I would just say they should ask themselves this question. What's the worst that's gonna happen? I think that, to be honest, that's like, whenever you're afraid, ask yourself what to, like, for instance, let me just use an example of mine. I recently had my blog post published on the product-led blog, and before that, I really saw Nigerians or any, like, it's not just anyhow people that publish on product-led. Like, if you look at the caliber of people that publish on product-led, they are top founders of SaaS companies, and I just woke up one morning. I had this product-led marketing, blog post idea. I'm like, I'm going to pitch this to the head of content. I feared rejection, but I was like, I guess she will not reply, or she'll say no.
Yeah.
I know, but I've gotten a lot of no's in my career. The numbers of no's I've gotten in my career outnumber the number of yes. But because I keep trying, and I keep shooting and shooting, one hits the spot. So I'm like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to apply regardless. And I sent her the pitch rather, and she was like, sure. And I'm like, you see? So just imagine if I had let the fear of, I'm Nigerian now, or what experience do I have? I'm not a founder of a SaaS company. I've not worked in big companies like HubSpot and whatnot, and why would they accept my pitch? But she accepted, and I even got SMEs, subject matter experts, to answer me. So I think just ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? And trust me, the worst is no, or the no.
So there were more questions than this, but because of the way you've answered the questions, you've covered some of the questions that we've answered, talking about networking. You would cover, there was a question you answered, and then you talked about how you helped people in your network, how you reached out and all of that. You've also talked about the whole luck thing, because I have it bolded with here as one of my questions. Do you think that luck played a part in your career? You also spoke on that. So if they're listening pretty well, they would actually know that, okay, you covered all of that. And then something you just said now, I was going to ask, okay, how did you do the whole product-led thing? But you just answered it right now. And then the next thing, I'm just trying to recap all of this so people know that, okay, you've really touched down on things. And then the next thing also you talked about was rejection. I remember when I was having tons of rejection, I drowned in them. And then I just woke up one day and told myself, you know what, you're good. So if nobody's going to tell that you're good, you need to tell yourself that you're good and put in the work to be good. So I'm going to ask finally before we get off, how do you, because I think that in different places we're going to get no's. So how do you handle rejection? How do you, especially rejection now as the, you know what, okay, the silent treatment, like I'm not replying you, and then just this kind of rejection, even corrections on your drafts. How do you handle all of that?
First, I would say let's stop treating rejections like, it's something that we should always, skillfully, be immune to. I mean, rejections, you feel pain to them, that's the truth. No matter how experts, if I get no today, I can't, what about me? So when I get no's later, I just archive the message, like, no time. I archive and I keep moving. But it took a lot of, getting that nose to get here and knowing that rejections are merely rejections of your work. It's a rejection of your work, right? Rejection is simply your work. being rejected. It's not you. And say in cases where racism comes in, there are biases in this thing. Sometimes someone will just give you like work because you don't like your face. You might trigger them. Maybe you might, or maybe they're not like, as much as we lie to ourselves, right? Things like attractiveness matter. Someone that is pretty has more chances to succeed in life than an ugly person. Now, this I know it's very controversial, but it's the truth, and we all deceive ourselves by saying it's the truth. You're likely to do favor for someone that two equally talented people, right? Yeah. One is old, one is fine. You do for the fine one. It's just no brainer. The way we are built, we like things that are visually appealing, so that can also affect you and whatnot. But regardless, learn to reframe these things as, your rejection of my work is simply a rejection of my work. It's not a rejection of my person, of my humanity, my core. Because you as a person, you're more than the work. All these things, writing, content marketing, whatever, is simply you dancing to the tune of capitalism. Mm-hmm. If we are to look at things normally, we're not meant to work this much. Work is not meant to account for more than 70% of our lives, right? And I read this thing somewhere, I think it was an Atlantic interview, where they calculated the number of time the amount of time you sleep and the amount of time you have for weekend, and it gave this conclusion: your career is not that big enough for you to make work the center of your life. It's also not small enough for you to handle. So oscillate and stay in the middle. Realize that you're more than work. You have hobbies, you have friends, you have family, you have community. Dwell in the happiness of that. If work is not really going well, if you keep getting rejected, remind yourself that even the greatest people in the world, they all got rejected, right? Before you can get a solid yes, you need a number of no's. And most times, I know this is overstretched, this is overused and overabused, but most times, rejection is redirection. And I'll give an example. There's a popular media company in Nigeria that rejected me last year. Right? Not because I didn't qualify, but simply because I was not available to go for events, physically and whatnot. And it's just someone that was less experienced over me. And this year, and I went through the interview process with like a military manager. And this year, their CEO himself came to my Twitter DM and offered me to lead the operations at the company. I rejected them though, right? But then and at the time I was really pained by the rejection. I kept questioning myself, right? But in retrospect, I realized that if I had taken that job, my career would be in a much different direction than what it is. It won't be the direction I like. And the person that even got the job, because I know the person got is complaining about the job. So I guess I appreciate the universe for redirecting me. So sometimes when you're rejected, you're being redirected for a better thing ahead of you. And the universe is simply positioning you and aligning you. And sometimes your work is not that just good. Relax. Sometimes let's not deceive ourselves. Your pitch is not good. You need to learn how to write better pitch. So ask people that have done it. I feel like this advice only applies for when you ask people that have done it, use that template, try to improve constantly, not when you're writing already. Imagine you writing a pitch, you're writing Dear Sir, Dear Ma. You not do research to know the person's name. You not do research to the common ground, to like maybe congratulate them on the recent win that shows that, before you message me, actually done your own work. My darling, you get rejected and you keep getting rejected. And it's not your village people. You are your village people. So I feel like beyond rejection, also self-introspect and ask yourself, how am I contributing to this? Am I really ready for the opportunity I'm pursuing? For instance, the opportunities I'm getting today, when I used to apply for them, because I've always been very ambitious and very audacious. I remember back in 2019, I could apply for senior marketing role. Me that I just started it. And I got rejected. Imagine it would have been stupid of me then to now say, oh my God, you're rejecting me. But I was simply not ready. Both in experience, both in expertise, both in skills and track record. I was simply not ready. So sometimes realize that you're not ready for some of the things you're pursuing. And why you do not need to be 100% ready. You need to be at least 50%. So like I said, self-introspect, and try to improve. But overall, don't berate yourself. Like, at the end of the day, everything good will come. So yeah.
Oh, cool. There's this thing that people try to make, I don't know, what do you think about it? They tell you, I used to send out 100 applications in a week. And I'm like, I'm always like, is it sending out of 100 applications? Like, they say it with so much pride. Like, I send out, so I don't know what's the amount of work someone needs to commit to sending out applications. Some people say I pitch to 10 companies a day. I don't know your own perspective about all of those things, and what do you think about it?
I feel like if you apply to about 10 companies per day, you pitch to them. I think you're not putting enough work. Because if you're going to pitch a company, you're going to pitch excellently, you need to put in the work. It needs to have depth. And things that are meaningful and, have that meaningful. Let's just say meaningful. Let's take meaningful. They require time. If I'm going to pitch a company, I'm not pitching them from the aspect of, I'm an SEO, whatever. Here's my services. That is so myopic and one-sided. But instead, I come from, I've read your XYZ. You're following your journey. I love what you guys are doing. Congrats on raising this one. Congrats on doing this one. Here's how you guys are doing. The other day I was reading your blog. I've been a long time reader of your blog. And here's how I see it can be better because XYZ, you back your point with data. Then you offer yourself as the expert that can help them execute that recommendation. That is smart pitching. And that pitching, you won't do it in just an hour. Because you need to actually research the company. You need to research the stakeholders you need to write to. You need to research what they're doing wrong and how it can be better. They need to research the data for backing that. So if you're telling them you're sending that kind of pitches 10 to 10 complaints a day, it shows that you are just looking for quick wins and quick gains so that you can just brag, or you're just looking for a lucky. Now, those kind of people, to be honest, they're always lucky because it's a numbers game. That's the truth. Mm-hmm. But I feel like you're better off doing things strategically and smartly, and that's how you land meaningful opportunities and not peanuts. It's like this kind of opportunities, they kind of attract peanuts because you're just applying for anything and you're throwing your career to the wind. Instead, have 20 I believe in aiming for jobs. I believe in not applying for just any job. That's why I really apply for jobs, because I find it really disturbing when you're just applying for any company. Have like 20 companies you want to apply to. Get informational interviews with people working at the company. Try to know how they got. Then look at the LinkedIn profile of people working at the company, particularly in your role, particularly in your department. Try to and compare with your own current CV, your current LinkedIn profile. Where am I lacking? Where am I good? How can I emphasize where I'm good on my resume? The ones that I'm lacking, what courses, what videos, what content can I consume to be better? Right? Then build relationship between the company while also applying. But the more you're visible to people working in the company, right? For instance, you add them to your LinkedIn network and are seeing you constantly promoting yourself. One day, one of them might bring offer to you, and that's how people get to start applying. So I believe in applying, and I believe in applying regularly. I believe in doing it strategically and smartly. So there should be a balance. It's a numbers game, but it should be quality numbers game, not just numbers.
Okay. I think that is a masterclass on pitching. I was going to say that I was going to invite you back on tech stories and whatnot for pitching, but you've dealt with it, and I love it. I love that perspective of not just applying or just, when you say job board, you join the rest, but strategically applying, and that's really makes sense. So I'll just stop here because if I could continue. Go on and ask further questions.
Yeah, conversation.
I talking to you. Yeah, it's really interesting. Journey is smooth. Well, you said that my journey is chaotic, but it sounds smooth. Like it sounds nice. So
it sounds good, but the chaos behind the scenes, my darling, it's been quite chaotic. But yeah, thanks for speaking to me. I love things like this, and I love what you're doing. Yeah. And I hope just one of the listeners' lives actually change and they act on these things, because it's not about listening, it's about doing. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I hope to talk to you, and definitely I know you're going to be back on tech stories and whatnot. I know, because this pitching thing is something that is dealt with. People need a masterclass on it. But anyways, talk about that sometime. No problem. Yeah, do have a lovely day.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, bye.